Carolyn Gilbert, president and founder of New Voodoo. Lee Jacobs, EVP Research Analysis. We've been counting down the top 10 research mistakes that radio stations make. Here we are at number 2, programming to meters. Good idea? I'm sorry. Marketing to meters. That's a good idea.
Yes. Well, we just had this conversation. You program to the haystack and you market to the needles. It just your ratings are looking for a needle in a haystack, and programming to those meters. I think there are some stories that could probably illustrate why this is not a good idea.
So we know that, using a monitoring service that helps you measure tune-ins and tune-outs based on panelist data is a great idea for getting a kind of a macro view of how your programming is working and to hot clock competitors. But I'd argue that you want to use something more robust for your music testing, for example, because you just don't have a big enough N in the numerator to make it work, right?
Right. It's the factor that when that panelist changes, which they inevitably will, you could easily have made your entire music proposition pleasing to that person.
Yep.
When they go away, you're hoping that there'll be somebody along the way to replace them, to add on to them, to make your numbers grow. And so the smart thing to do is to play to the averages of the market. What's the best playlist for your cume, the people who listen to your station, with an emphasis on those who are currently giving you the most quarter hours, and recognizing that the whole game is that some of those people who give you a lot of quarter hours may fall out of the panel, may find different choices they want to make, may get a trial subscription to something else, and they need to be replaced with people who are giving you fewer quarter hours right now. So the game is just playing to the averages.
That's right, because panelists turn over up to 2 years, but a lot of times the churn is much quicker than that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And now with household.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you have a story that sort of illustrates that, don't you? What happens when the panel churns?
I do, as the person who for many years at New Voodoo was responsible for the needles. The fact is that we would either have clients or competitors in large markets. In this case was Los Angeles, where a group of 5 women all worked together and were compulsive listeners to one radio station. And it turns out that it wasn't just at work. It turns out this was a mother and 4 daughters doing, mani-pedis by day and cooking, cleaning, and dealing with kids and all that. It was a single parent household, apparently. How our client found out, I have no idea. But the bottom line is that was 2,000 average quarter hours nearly 2,000 from each of the 5 family members over the course of a month. That was before waiting. But you can just imagine what happened. It literally flipped the format dynamics, which had been 20% in favor of one radio station for a good nearly 2-year period, to a flip 18 months later. Now, I won't tell you which side of that equation we were on, because I did identify the market, but it was jaw-dropping.
Sure. I mean, I remember in the diary days, having an amazing book that, the owners of the station were thrilled about. The folks above me in management were like, wow. And that's when you'd go to Arbitron and look at the diaries, and we realized that the big share was the share we'd had in the past, plus a little bit, plus one household with 5 diaries. And, in diaries, you'd look at the comments and find out that they were holding death watch for grandma. So somebody was up all night with her. There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quarter hours in that week across those diaries.
Carolyn, I know we have been doing research to try to get at the opinions of that very small subset of the audience that will accept a meter or fill out a diary. And I can tell you right now, they're really hard to find. So programming to them, almost impossible.
Right. Now we do ask a question. We do it in our annual RCS, RPS survey. where we look at marketing strategies for our company and share insights with the industry. But we are also now including that question in every music test, so that we do differentiate between among the people who say they would never participate in that type of research and those who would, to see if there are differences. So yes, it is needles in a haystack, but we are doing everything we can to at least find out the personality of those who are vulnerable and see if we can make some sort of music distinction there.
Carolyn, the nice thing about what you just said is that we could hear you perfectly. And then we also got kind of the side benefit of exotic art that kind of moved in a pixelated fashion. So it was interesting to look at and very important takeaway. Ratings Prospect Study 23 is out, Lee.
Right. And we decided to forego the webinar experience. I think across the pandemic, we've all gotten so zoomed out. And the idea of launching one more series of webinars with, dozens of people, watching, the group of us perhaps presenting what's in the deck that we've composed, and not really being able to answer questions along the way. It's kind of, save your questions for the end. And then some people have other places to go. So anyway, long story short, we chose to forego the webinar experience and would prefer to present them one station at a time if we need to, or to a consultant who wants to get a couple of clients together, or however we can get people to pay attention, because we think we've got some really strong insights that came out of this latest study. But an email to tellmemore@newvoodoo.com gets you on the schedule, and we'll spend at minimum, if I talk fast and you don't ask a lot of questions, it'll be 20 minutes.
We still have plenty of March slots and a few Aprils that still remain. So get in touch with us at tellmemore@newvoodoo.com, and stay tuned for our big reveal, finding number one in the countdown of the top 10 radio station research mistakes.
New Voodoo builds digital products and conducts research and marketing campaigns for clients.
It's easy to get in touch. Drop us a line at tellmemore@newvoodoo.com.